Okay. So, Namaskar, Masters. We will continue our discussion on Tri-Doshas. Today, we're going to talk about Kapha. That is the second. Now, we will recap a little bit just to understand the dosha. We do have three of them: Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And this is something that is applicable to every one of us, each one of us, because it doesn't matter billions of people in the world, everybody will have combination of these three doshas. Whichever is dominant, you may have your life, your health, your emotion things impacted accordingly, that which dosha is dominant. And it may not be just one, it's a combination of two. Typically, you may have one third, one third, one third, so 33.3% each, but it's never precise. So that means one will be little more, other will be obviously a little less. And whichever are top two will influence. And because this combination, you can have multiple different scenarios, that which two and then what percentage. And that's how each individual, we will have our own issues or situation, whether it's physical, emotional, psychosomatic, mental, all those kind of things. So these are the basic concepts of Ayurveda. Ayurveda, we are talking like going back thousands of years. So you see, we are not talking something just this century or the previous century. We are talking about thousands of years. That means so many masters, so many generations have already gone, and they have researched, they have kind of fine-tuned their understanding, and that's where we are getting this wisdom from. So there are three energetic forces, right, that controls the activities, our physical, mental, all that intellectual structure, functioning as an individual, as a body, as an entity. And if our daily routine is in sync with what we call circadian rhythm, then we can avoid a lot of issues in our, again, physical, emotional, mental, and other health issues, right? Now, we can reduce our stress, we can be having more fun, enjoying life when we are along with it rather than going against it. And that's the key point. So unknowingly, we go against it, and hence we invite a lot of health issues. Now, when we talk about dosha, so dosha means with change, right? And this refers to the governing body in the universe. This is dosha can be regarded as a fault, mistake, error against cosmic rhythm, like we were talking about circadian rhythm. And they are always moving, always in a dynamic balance with each other. So there are three, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So if we can have our lifestyle improvement to be in sync, if we can have our diet to be in sync with whatever the Tri-Doshas that we have, whatever the imbalance that we have. So there are two things. First, we should know what imbalance, like which dosha is prominent. And then we should know how and what and when. If we understand and see, okay, what we need to change, when and what, then it's easier to get into a lifestyle that is supporting you, keeping you away from doctor's visit, hospital visits, and you can live a very healthy and a happy life. So is this related or linked with Panchbhutas? Yes, absolutely. These three doshas are linked with Panchbhutas. How? Because Vata is a combination of primarily Akash and Vayu. Pitta is a combination of fire and water. And Kapha is a combination of water and earth. So you see, these Panchbhutas are linked directly with three doshas. And today, when we are talking about Kapha, we are talking about water and earth element. So how these two elements will impact us, that is the key thing. Now, it is a concept that the proportion is important. So it is not a question of uh, which element, but also how much, right? That's where the proportion comes into. The proportion of Akash and Vayu, it will, right, you know, it depends, it will determine the how active your Vata is. The amount of fire water will decide like the activeness of Pitta, and accordingly water earth is Kapha. So just like imagine in an ocean, right? When you have high winds, you will see huge waves coming, and it's very difficult to, manage any boat ship. Doesn't matter what size if sea is rough. So it is same is like in our body. Once these elements, these forces becomes too much, the body cannot handle, then you have disturbances. So these forces, they represent the transformation part. Transformation because, anything that we eat from raw state, it needs to be processed. So raw state means, you're eating some food, whether it's a fruit, a vegetable, whatever you're eating, that is one part, but then it needs to be converted into some energy, some form which the body can use. So that's where these thing comes into play. And, these, depending on which one is more prominent in you, you may have certain impact. Why and how? Because you see, the Vata has the most impact on us. It's about 80 different disturbances it can create in our body, mean different issues. Pitta is 40, means after Vata, and Kapha has the least 20. So that's where roughly you will see 140 these elements. They are not equally divided between the three. So Vata has huge impact, then Pitta, and then Kapha. So what happens here is, every year as we are, passing by, we are growing, our age is growing. Just like that, on a daily basis, we are eating, we are living our life here. So what's happening? You have some input, and then there will be an output, means something the body will input and absorb, something the body says as a waste, it will excrete. Then comes the transformation part. That means whatever you have taken, it says, okay, I need to convert it, and it's converting it into the form of output. You need energy, and then if you have converted into energy, because you had, say example, eaten an apple, the apple directly doesn't go in your cell, it goes in energy form. So apple fruit has to be converted into energy unit. That is the Pitta part. So Vata is input, then Pitta is conversion. Now, once you have converted, you want to store. It's not possible that every time you eat when you need energy. So Kapha does the storage. So whatever energy we are intaking, converting, has to be stored also. So this is all about Vata, Pitta, Kapha, how they really help us, in the body to function beautifully, smoothly, uninterrupted, because whether you are sleeping, whether you are an active role, you have the energy to do this, right? So that is really the key thing. And this functioning, this process, it requires regulation. It requires some, logic. Nature has provided us that. So it is not just a theory that, okay, who takes care of what, because each cell needed the food. Each cell functioning require that energy. So this one, the process, which is very well defined, which is universal. It's not that it function different for a person than the other person. The mechanism is same. Actual functioning may differ depending on the health issues. So this is this Tri-Dosha, this regulatory mechanism. This is available or can be seen, whether it's a living or non-living item body. So this mechanism of energy flow is there in the universe. This is the basic fundamental. So we are not talking about somebody's or just a thought or theory. This is the fundamental of the life. So that's why it's so important that we are aligned with it rather than against it. And this one, as we work on it, we understand who we are, we understand, then we can, uh, improve our, you can say, the blissfulness, the life, the happiness. Now, along with it, there are two elements. One is Tri-Dhatu and Tri-Doshas. So, Tri-Dhatu, which means the root or fundamental foundation of an entity, right? So when the balance is disturbed, that's when this imbalance, which is Tri-Doshas, comes into play. And dominance of Kapha is the stomach. The dominant area for Pitta is kind of small intestine area, and for Vata is the large intestine. So it's more prominent there. So that's how these three have their areas of prominence. That means this is where the most impact or effect or uh, may come of that particular dosha. So now we'll get into Kapha dosha in detail. So what's all about, what the key features or key element? So this is basically responsible for stability. It prevents from degeneration before time, because sometimes you see someone and a person looks much younger, and in some cases the person looks much older than the age, right? And it ensures the constant supply of energy because it stores. So if you don't have stored energy, what will happen? Imagine you have a laptop, right? And there's no battery, or battery is not functioning, it's dead, what we call it. Every time you have to plug it. The moment you take the plug out, the laptop is not functioning because there is no battery. Similarly, in our body, if there is no energy, you can imagine, right? You cannot just function when you just had food. So each one of it functions independently and very rhythmically, very beautifully. We don't have to give command to our body, do this, do that. No, the nature has provided that, operating function. When it works seamlessly, when it works without any issue, we don't even realize it. When we fall sick or anything, then yes, we start wondering what happened, why so frequent, and all those kind of things. Now, so this one, the kapha gives the stability with respect to, the lubrication means your joints, firmness of the joint, because you can imagine if there is no lubrication between the joints, you will have pain, whether it is your ankle, whether it is your knee, your hip area, whether it's, elbow, wrist. There are a lot of joints in the body. And if lubrication means there is a fluid which helps the, otherwise imagine if bone is touching with the bone, how much discomfort or pain you will have. So this is the main reason that sometimes you have certain health issues, and then we wonder and we are running around trying to figure out what to do. We take sometimes a lot of medicines and no use, because we are not aware of the root cause. We are just going by the symptoms. Now, let's see the location of kapha. So primarily, again, like we are talking about the heart, the lung, the tongue, throat, head, the joints, the fat tissue, nose, stomach. So this is the primary, right? Now, that doesn't mean everything is here and all, but this is the area where primarily you will have the impact of kapha. And that's why you can imagine that where it will impact if you have some issues. So a lot of things you can avoid if we take care of kapha. So if there is an excess of kapha, what does that mean? So, you know, because any of these three could be more than what is needed or less than what is needed. In either case means increase or decrease, you will have some impact on your body. So if it is increased, it may increase the body mass and wastage of nutrients. And symptoms of increase means you have a higher kapha. How you will know that sometimes the body may be pale, hypothermia, rigidity, heaviness, excessive sleep. Sometimes people say, hey, I'm not able to sleep. So why excessive sleep is a problem? Because on both sides of the spectrum is there's some issue. So excessive sleep, that's why the excessiveness is the issue. Sensation of looseness joint, so you have some issues with the joint, pain, discomfort, obesity, lack of enthusiasm, like there is no energy which keeps you excited or energized, shortness of breath, you do a little bit and you're already out of your your respiratory system cannot support. Cough is one thing which will also kind of be as a symptom for higher, not the optimum level, which is not needed or not appreciated because it is impacting you. Similarly, if it is lower, if it is much less, then also it's not good for you. The decrease will create the opposite effect, leading to quick regeneration of the body part. It will lead into instability and all those some symptoms. Includes the low self-esteem, the dryness, and low self-esteem. You can see it's related to emotion, right? Because you are going through a lot of stuff which will take impact on you, and then lower self-esteem can further complicate the matter by having certain other issues depending again on the nature and your habits. Joints, as we talked about, you may have issues, pain, body tremors, and various burning sensation. So these are some of the symptoms. Now that doesn't mean if you are having some kind of dryness and all, you think, oh, okay, guaranteed it is this. No, again, needs to be further evaluated, but these are the common symptoms. Now, each one of them. So when we are talking about kapha, is just kapha? No, there are still subtypes. And that's why, as I was talking before, that there are billions of people in the world, and then you depends on the percentage, the combination. So it's not just kapha and that's it. No, there are still further 5 subtypes. And it functions ultimately, it's a contributing factor. And the 5 different subtypes, you have Darpak, Kapha, you have Bodak, you have Kledak, you have Shleshak, and then you have Avlambak. So what are these? What impact we get? Let's review one at a time. So when we are talking about Tarpak, so this Tarpaka Kapha, it means to nourish, right? It means to give, containment. It's located in the head and the heart. It gives strength and nourishment, lubrication to the nerves. So it governs, the emotion, the calm and stability, happiness, your memory. So by practicing yoga, you can increase the mental form of kapha as ananda. Ananda means the containment, the blissfulness. So yoga does help emotionally in this case. And it has the inward motion, which allows us to feel happy in our own nature. So, of course, meditation promotes its secretion. So you can imagine yoga, meditation impacting Tarpak subtype of the Kapha Dosha. So people wonder that, oh, I do yoga and all of a sudden something have improved, or I started meditation, this problem went away. So you see that there is a scientific reason why meditation, pranayam, yoga helps you positively. So it's not magic, it's not random thing that it's something like a fluke, something happened for you. No, it's logical, it's very scientific. Now let's look at the bodhak. So bodhak is coming from the word bodhan, which means to perceive. Now, so this is the one which gives perception. We all have perception. It's located in the mouth, tongue, head. That's the region. And that's the region of bodhak. And once you get into the again the perceived part, also the sense of taste, because again the head region comes into play. It gives us knowledge. It gives us the sense of taste in life, and refinement of taste as we seek subtle form of enjoyment that we get involved. So Bodhak is really taking us to another element. So like we saw Tarpak, Bodhak. So that's why they are subtype. Of course, they are independent in the sense there is a difference between each one of them. And overall, they are still part of Kapha. Now, the Kledak, the third one, coming from the word Kledan, which means to moisten. So you see, the word itself defines the purpose, the functioning, because when it's moisture means, you can imagine the different joint, different, part of the body where uh, it's so important to have location, primarily stomach, right? It can be correlated to the alkaline secretion of the mucus lining, and the whole digestive tract has this lining, so that's really critical. And it is responsible for liquidification of food in the first stage of digestion, and protect the mucus lining in the GI tract, right? Because when you eat to digest, first the acid, is produced in the stomach to, break down the food and digest. Now, acid, you can imagine the body has very specific cell, a lining in the stomach so that we don't get hurt by that acid. So all these things are so much correlated, and you can imagine that how they are helping us. Shleshak, which is the fourth one, it means, again, mainly lubrication part, located in the joints primarily. Synovial, synovial fluid, which is very critical. Again, if the lubrication part has issues, that means whenever the joints are moving, you will have contact or the bone-to-bone issues, and that means you'll have pain, you'll have discomfort. And the last one, which is avlambak, that is the word avlam means to be dependent, and it means the one which gives support on which the whole body is dependent. So where is the location? Location is sacrum, heart, lungs, and it gives lubrication to the chest. So it's a storehouse for kapha, and it supports all other kapha. So it is a subtype, but this is the main kapha in the treatment of kapha disease. So you see avlambak has such important part of it. And this is one thing that, not that you say, okay, this is the most important, so I will kind of, focus on this, but it is something that to keep it in mind. So what is the diet advisory for kapha, right? Should eat cool or warm food and avoid steaming hot dishes. Okay, because there are people who have this habit that they want like boiling hot, right from the oven, as we call it. So that could be avoided. Not too hot, not steaming hot, but it should be warm, understandable, but not too hot. eat warm and light food with minimum butter or oil. So you don't want too much. It's not a question of not eating any butter or oil, but just light food with minimum butter. And if you are having a choice, then pungent or bitter or those kind of tastes, we eat those foods. Avoid sweets or fatty foods. Excessive fatty foods may cause this water retention in kapha type. So it's not like you cannot have sweet, but again, you have to reduce or be on the lower side of the spectrum rather than having higher sweets intake. Follow routine where it comes to meal, and has light breakfast and dinner. Lunch should be avoided in case if you are having very high or you are having kapha issues. Ginger tea once or twice a day, that really helps. Intake of dairy food items could be avoid or restrict if you have kapha issues. And consume in like all those ghee oils in a very minimum one. So you can consume, but keep it to the minimum side, not too much of oil, because that can go again if you already have the kapha as a primary in your case. So these are some of the things which will help you in understanding that, okay, what are these doshas, symptoms, what can I do for my diet? And of course, if you know the combination, that what is the percentage, which one is dominant, then you can adjust all these things in your life. Once we adjust, you are again simply ensuring that you are a happy person, healthy person, and you can live your life, peacefully, enjoy your life to the fullest. It's not that, oh, I can't dance, I can't, play music because I have a joint issue or I have respiratory tract or some kind of digestive issue and all this. So, masters, this was about the three doshas and the kapha that we talked about. Next week, we will take the third one, which is the last of the three. And if you have any question, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself.